The Competition Commission is probing allegations of collusion by banks. It's a very serious issue. The Sekunjalo Group has made this claim after its accounts were closed. Sekunjalo is going even further. It's going to the Equality Court, accusing the banks of racial discrimination. So let's unpack this. Legal expert Zalna Jansen joining us here on the South African Morning. Zalna, good morning to you. Give me a sense then of what you make of this. I mean, these are very serious allegations, not just by banks allegedly involved in collusion, but even as far as racial discrimination. Good morning.
Good morning, Gareth, and good morning to your viewers. So I think what Sekunjalo is raising in terms of being racially discriminated against is that the banks are racially profiling him in terms of the actions that they are taking against him. So that is the background sense that I'm getting. And then there were also the class action that is joining the Equality Court court case that is being brought by Sekunjalo. And they are also citing that, in terms of the products that banks are offering, there's a difference of interest and procedures against clients who are come from previously disadvantaged backgrounds, if I may put it in that sense.
So how difficult is this to A, prove, and then B, to take on from a legal perspective?
I think it's very difficult because, the banks offer various products and it's going to be different in each scenario. So, and improving racial profiling, it will be difficult. But in the article that I wrote, I mentioned that we come from this system capitalist system where it's rigged to favor a certain group of people. So those that have will protect it, and they would obviously, in terms of the system that we have, and it's based on our Roman Dutch law. Remember, Roman Dutch influence came from South Africa being colonized. So in terms of that, they also colonized the laws that were applicable in terms towards indigenous communities. So now we are all under this law, but at the same time, and that is to protect the security of property and being able to have a business and make a profit. And obviously in making that profit, we have laws in terms of the basic conditions of employment act, so you have to treat your employees in a certain way. But we also have a constitution, and then there's also this, since our democracy, the aim has really been to transform our society, to give back to those that were previously disadvantaged. And the system doesn't allow it, doesn't take into account certain factors that those that come from these previously disadvantaged backgrounds have. So for example, if I were we're an emerging farmer and I were to apply for a bank loan in the land bank, and this was some accusations that was made a while back that if I was black, then I would be considered more of a risk, probably because I don't have the background. And obviously the bank would want to secure its loans, so they would have a formula in terms of what they're doing. So maybe this is what they're saying in terms of we need to relook at this entire system. Is it helping taking South Africa forward, or is it hurting the system?
And it's generally been quite a closed circuit, hasn't it? I mean, anyone who's ever had to deal with the bank, even as an individual, knows just the kind of red tape that you have to cut through and the loops that you have to jump through as well. Regardless of how this might go, just to your article, what this is going to do, I think, bring under the microscope how financial institutions are providing the security and providing the kind of support that they advertise that they do, but that might not necessarily be the case. It's a final question to you, because this could really open up a can of worms, but it could be a good can of worms.
I think this is something we're going to have to argue, because those that are, we have a system of rule of law and we have to obey the law. But if you are economically deprived, then, you tend to lose respect for that rule of law. And, you don't want that to happen. And it seems if you look at the July unrest last year already, those sort of catalysts are starting to spill over. So I think even it's not just banks, but even government must take stock of what have they done in terms of negotiating with the banks, so that they can have products that have take into account different maybe circumstances for those that come from previously disadvantaged backgrounds. And when I say previously disadvantaged, it could be anything from, you come from a classroom where there's 40 students as opposed to in Plumstead or Constantia where, there's 10 students in a class. So how does that develop a previously disadvantaged person in terms of emotional intelligence, how they communicate, literacy from whose point of view? So we have to start thinking broader, and we need to be creative in terms of what we're going to do. And that also means universities also have to start thinking now, looking at different solutions, because it doesn't seem to be that the system that we have seems to be working for everybody. So we have to start this conversation and see where that ends up.
Yeah, previously disadvantaged, but I like the way you said it, previously disadvantaged, but according to who? That's going to be the crux of this. Zelna Jansen, thank you very much indeed for your time. I'm sure we're going to speak again about this. The Competition Commission, just to remind you, allegations of collusion by the banks, the Commission looking into that. And also, as a result of Sekunjalo, the Sekunjalo Group has made claims that it's now going to the Equality Court, even accusing banks of racial discrimination. It's a very serious allegation. We'll, of course, follow that up for you as the story develops. But